This episode is the perfect example of saving the best for last. You know the feeling, having to dig deep to find gold, sitting through a mediocre movie just to reach a great ending, or slugging through a long dungeon to finally open the chest at the end. This is exactly what this episode feels like. The most meaningful and impactful moments are saved for last, which unfortunately makes most of the episode feel a bit underwhelming. Not bad, not annoying, but kind of uneventful. There are some things I really like along the way, but for the most part, it does feel like a lot of build-up to a few big moments. AKA, it feels like filler. One of the things I really like is how they calculate where Friede is going to land. Orla has Metagross do the calculations, because of course, Metagross has 4 brains that are on par or superior to a supercomputer. This has always been part of its lore, but I honestly can't remember another time where we've seen it showcased this clearly and directly. We literally see Metagross crunching numbers, with the iconic X on its face changing into plus, minus, and division signs. The X itself obviously doubles as a multiplication sign. This is a really fun visual way of showing that it's doing complex calculations. And it's a great example of the anime finally putting a well-known piece of lore to proper use in a creative and funny way. I also love that Ludlow explains space travel, specifically returning from space, to Liko and the others using a movie starring himself, Mighty G, Guy Silver, which of course features Sharpedo. Multiple of them, this time in space, coming from the dark side of the moon. This is such a ridiculous and hilarious concept. A shark movie in space somehow feels even more unhinged than even Sharknado. But beyond just being funny, it's also a really nice callback to episode 77, which established Ludlow's past as a B-movie actor who kept starring in ridiculous Sharpedo films. It's a fun piece of continuity and a charming way to reuse that unique and amusing backstory. Also, there's a feraligator on the cover of this film. I wonder if it belongs to Ludlow, considering that his Quagsire and his Sharpedo took part in his movies. Feraligator can Mega Evolve, which is perfect for the era we're in right now. Imagine Mighty G showing up with a Mega Feraligator. Wouldn't that be something? I also like the fact that Alt is clearly nervous about meeting Friede, though as always, he tries to play it cool, only for Roy to immediately call him out. Later, when it really sinks in for Alt that Friede is literally coming back from space, he just stands there in awe. It's a quiet but effective moment that really emphasizes the sheer scale of what Friede accomplished, making his return feel even grander. I also love that the little Friede doll tied to balloons on the ceiling falls just as Liko and friends realize what will happen to the actual Friede if they cannot find a way to save him. What a cute metaphor. Speaking of finding a way to save him, I love that every single idea they come up with is hilariously ridiculous and silly. Tinkaton batting the space pod like Shohei Ohtani, Dragonite and Kilowattrel trying to stop it with wind, Meowscarada attempting to lasso it, every single one of these ideas would lead to the same tragic outcome, but the fact that they even consider them is very funny. I also love that Orla is clearly working extra hard because Friede is coming back, and Molly immediately calls her out on it, leaving Orla visibly embarrassed, which is cute. At this point, I think it's basically impossible to deny that Orla is in love with Friede. Or am I the only one that thinks this? We've seen plenty of hints before, and this reaction just reinforces it even more. The Pokemon anime never really commits to human romance directly, but it loves to imply it. And this is about as clear as it gets, right? This moment is also very important setup for what happens later. This is kind of the issue with this episode. Most of it feels like setup. There are funny moments, charming moments, and cute moments, yes, but for the most part, again, this episode really does feel like filler. Not bad filler, mind you, but filler nonetheless. It's all clearly building towards the real core of the episode. Everyone working together to save Friede from a potentially disastrous landing and his return. Thankfully, when the time finally comes, the wait was absolutely worth it. I love how they tried to save him. Pagogo uses Protect to serve as a net to catch the space pod, Hatterene uses Confusion to extend it and push it upwards, and then everyone has their Pokemon fire their moves at the makeshift net to slow Friede down. Visually, this scene is fantastic since all the attacks combine into a beautiful rainbow-colored beam. It's also a really cool, intense, and suspenseful moment because everyone is working together, and you genuinely wonder if they are really going to pull it off. Of course though, things don't work out as planned, because where would be the drama in that, right? If everything succeeded immediately, it wouldn't be nearly as tense. The space pod ends up getting knocked out of the Protect and the combined beam, and it starts falling again. And this isn't just any fall, it's a direct callback to the last time they saw Friede. Back then, he was also falling to what looked like his demise, while everyone could only watch in horror, completely powerless to save him, especially Cap. So when it happens again, it hits hard. It's like history is repeating itself. Once again, Friede is falling, and it looks like no one can do anything about it. There's a brief but powerful moment of despair that mirrors that original shock from episode 89. This time though, Cap refuses to let things end the same way. He charges forward and throws himself into the air to try and save Friede, which is heartbreaking and gut-wrenching because while Cap's claim to fame is being a flying Pikachu, he can't actually fly. So we get this really emotional moment where he's just flailing in the air, desperately trying to reach Friede, knowing full well he probably can't. However, surprisingly, Pagogo steps in to help him by allowing him to Terastallize. This was definitely not on my bingo card for this episode, which is honestly awesome because the fact that I didn't expect it definitely elevated this already very exciting moment into something truly breathtaking. Especially because Cap's Terra type is flying, meaning that fittingly, almost poetically, he finally becomes a true flying Pikachu. Not just in name, not just in spirit, but literally, he can actually fly now, and this allows him to save Friede. This feels like something that's been years in the making. We saw Cap and Friede's backstory all the way back in episode 18, a little over 2.5 years ago in 2023. We learned about how they met, that Cap uses bolt tackle to soar into the sky, and that he was framed as a Flying Pikachu in concept, not really in reality. And now, over 100 episodes later, we finally see it happen for real. He becomes a flying type, he actually flies, and it happens in the moment where he needed to do so the most. It feels intentional, like this was always the plan, which if it was, man, what an incredible bit of storytelling. Now, I'm pretty sure someone, way back around the time episode 18 aired, commented on one of my videos that Cap's Terra type is flying. At the time, I remember thinking, yeah, that would actually be perfect. But I didn't make a video on it or anything, and I honestly totally forgot about this. Hence why I didn't mention it in my preview discussion for this episode. Well, obviously, that person was right. It took a very long time for them to be proven right, but it finally happened. Clearly, it took this long because the writers were waiting for the right moment. This was it, without a doubt. And it's one amazing payoff to something that was set up years ago. Again, masterful storytelling. So, Friede is finally back, and there's a lot to talk about here. First of all, I love that he looks like he's auditioning to be the next admin of Team Galactic, which is fitting considering he literally just came back from space. Then we get the payoff to Orla's earlier scene. The moment she sees Friede step out of the pod, she runs up to him in tears, throws herself into his chest, and starts lightly hitting him while crying, basically scolding him for making her worry so much. This is 100% a woman running into the arms of the man she loves to yell at him for scaring her half to death. Except this is Pokemon, so of course there's a gag. The person she runs into isn't Friede. It's not even a person. It's his new partner, a Mega Starmie Friede calls Instructor Starmie, because of course, Friede can't just have a normal Pokemon. With the exception of Charizard, they all need titles. We got Captain Pikachu, now we have Instructor Starmie. Very on brand for him. And this is honestly an unexpected surprise. I definitely did not have Friede returns with a Mega Starmie on my bingo card. Of all Mega Pokemon, Starmie is definitely one of the strangest choices. Especially considering how, let's say, memorable and unique its Mega form is. At the same time though, it kind of fits. He went to space and the Starmie already kind of looks like an alien. Its Mega form looks even more like one. So weird as it is, it does work. Especially because it allows Horizons to further showcase Legends CA. After realizing she got fooled, Orla immediately goes and sits far away and pretends she was never worried about Friede to begin with, saying that worrying about him is a waste of time anyway, which is the most obvious tsundere behavior imaginable. Like, come on, we all know you were terrified and missed him dearly. Then there's Cap. I absolutely love that the first thing he does is bolt tackle Friede straight into the barrier of the airship. After risking everything to save him, after being so worried about him, after finally seeing him again, Friede comes back, greets Liko and the others, and kind of just ignores Cap. So Cap responds the only way he knows how. But of course, it's not out of anger, it's out of love. Cap breaks down crying, which is so touching. This is honestly a big and significant moment because Cap is usually this ultra serious, ultra focused, always in control Pikachu. Always in captain mode, always locked in, always keeping everyone else in line. And here, for the first time, we see him completely lose that composure. It really shows how much Friede means to him, how much he cares about him, and how much he missed him. It also reminded me of Ash's Pikachu crying in the first movie when Ash supposedly perished. A crying Pikachu is basically a guaranteed emotional critical hit. Finally, I really love that the episode ends with everyone welcoming Friede back. It's a genuinely heartfelt scene and it mirrors episode 100, when the team was finally reunited again, minus Friede. Now, at last, the group is whole once more. So overall, this episode is good, though uneven. Most of it is just setup, a lot of honestly pretty quiet and uneventful scenes. There are some bright spots, of course, that manage to make the initial stretch of the episode enjoyable and entertaining, even if it still feels like filler. The final stretch of the episode, however, absolutely delivers, which is ultimately why it's a good episode regardless. It's one of those episodes where the journey is a bit slow, but the destination makes it completely worth it. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, feel free to click the links on screen. And if you'd like to support the channel and help me keep making content like this, you can find all the ways to do so in the description and in the pinned comment. Whether it's through a small donation or just watching and sharing, every bit of support means the world to me. Thank you so very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.